Hey everyone, my name is Michael Seiger. I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, and this is the DomainSherpa Discussion. This is the show where we get to discuss industry and internet news, trends going on, and of course, questions from the audience. We're joined by four industry veterans and thought leaders. From left to right, we have Adam Dicker, CEO of dnforum.com and nichewebsites.com, the company that will help you build, rank, and update your business website. Michael Berkens, publisher of thedomains.com, co-founder of the Right of the Dot consultancy, and founder of the domain marketplace mostwanteddomains.com. Rick Schwartz, the domain king, publisher of ricksblog.com and co-founder of the Traffic Domain Industry Conference. And filling in for Page Howe this week is co-founder and CEO of igloo.com, Tessa Holcomb. Igloo.com is, of course, a domain name brokerage with more than $100 million in sales and acquisitions experience. Welcome, everyone, to this week's show.
Thank you.
First up, .xyz. You knew I was going to go there. So last week, we discussed the marketing brilliance, should I call it, of Network Solutions giving away free .xyz domain names to the .com registrants, I should say to the registrants of .com domain names. So they were given away. People had to opt out of receiving those .xyz domains. So we taped the Domain Sherpa Review yesterday. Adam was on that show. It's going to air this coming Monday. And Drew Rosener took a different viewpoint from, it seems, everybody else in the industry who is jumping on the Let's Bash .xyz registry. And I thought he made some valid points. So here's the question. We understand that Network Solutions opted in the .com registrants to the free .xyz registrations for the first year. Why is everybody bashing Daniel Nagari and .xyz when it's Network Solutions that did the marketing promotion?
I don't think anybody was bashing them, and I don't think anybody was bashing them on yesterday's show. I just think that there was a difference of opinion. I mean, I like Daniel. I think he's a good guy, and Andrew was just saying he's a good businessman, so whatever he does will back it up. I just don't think that XYZ is a great GTLD, in my opinion, but I'm certainly not bashing him.
No, I didn't say that you were bashing him, but there are a lot of blogs out there. If you go read DN Journal today, I didn't think it was a very favorable response. Rick's blog today.
I'll let you chat, but I don't think it's a bad idea because he's going to make a lot of money in renewals, as was mentioned yesterday.
Hey, Rick, what do you think? Does it seem like everybody is giving Daniel and .xyz a hard time?
Well, I think you can come at this a number of ways, and I'll tell you what, it's been handled miserably because it could have been handled much better with a different outcome, and for whatever reason, it's, perception is reality, and a lot of people feel betrayed, and I think leading the parade is someone in the industry that has never showed really emotion on either side of an issue, and that's Ron Jackson. He is, I would say, livid. You could just, I read that article last night, and you could, and of course his comment on my blog, and you could just, he was just really controlling himself, but he was seething. And so he had promoted, I think, .xyz had given him interviews for whatever he felt personally, even more so. So that aside, because, I could feel other people's pain, I really believe it could have been handled much better, and it probably could have been a positive, and I think it was just handled terribly. There's two issues here. It's whatever Daniel Nagari did with the backdoor deal with Network Solutions A, which is, I have a thing, and everyone's angry at him because, his abusing the system is worse than anyone else's abusing the system. So that's kind of interesting. Here all the abusers are pointing, as far as the other GTL registries. You understand?
Right.
So, I say, I could come at this a whole bunch of different ways on a sphere. So I look at it like this. They're all pointing the finger, but a lot of them are guilty of their own abuses. Maybe not to this degree because he's handled it so poorly. Really, that's the bottom line. There is a difference between him and Network Solutions. He should have just said Network Solutions, that's just a terrible thing, and I have no involvement in it. But maybe he did have involvement in it, and that's where the slippery slope, because when you don't answer a question straight and unequivocal, we get to speculate, okay? And that's what happens. You get to speculate, and the speculation will strangle anything or anyone. And when people don't realize that, they should see politics and understand what happens when you let this genie out of the bottle and people just start, going at it. He should have just made a very clear statement and maybe even stood his ground or not stood his ground or say, I had nothing to do with this part of it. That's there. But you know what? It appears that isn't the case. It appears like a lot of other things were going on.
Yeah, and look, I'm not defending Daniel, but I am bringing up the devil's, what's it called, the devil's point, the devil's advocate?
The devil's advocate.
Yeah, so let me be the devil's advocate for a moment. Like, campaigns like this happen all the time. Politicians will not say exactly what's on their mind. What difference does it make? It was Network Solutions that did the promotion. Why is everybody giving? Why does Ron Jackson? I know I can go ask Ron Jackson, but why is everybody in the industry so upset that Network Solutions is giving away free domains?
They're not. They're upset because they're not being told the straight truth. They're upset.
I'm not sure that that's it. Mike, what do you think? Do you think that people are upset that they're not given the straight truth? Because I don't think that anybody in the industry gives the straight truth about every single answer.
Then say I can't say the straight truth. Come on, then defend yourself in a reasonable way.
He did say, though, I think he did say in the interview that he had non-disclosures with all the registrars and he can't give out details. And so he sort of said that, but people weren't happy with that answer. But I think it's the sort of the totalitarian, to total of the circumstances in the last couple of weeks that sort of, got people upset. So you had sort of him coming out before the extension was launched with very sort of brash statements that he was the next .com. He was going to hit 1 million registrations. He was going to be the biggest, the best, the blah, blah, blah. And of course, a lot of people didn't believe it, but, his theme was it's for the next generation. It's for the kids growing up that .com doesn't really mean anything to them, which I get it. And XYZ is just as good, and it's cooler, and it's hip, it's more memorable. And, he's been saying that for a while, and I accept the argument, and it's a viable argument. But then, so 2 or 3 days later when the thing launches, and, it seems like, well, there's all these registrations, and now they're all free, it feels like he's sort of, it's the combination, I think, thereof that sort of drove people sort of nutsy crazy.
Yeah. Tessa, do you feel the same way, that it's the combination of all those events coming together that has just sort of caused the perfect storm on and caused every single blogger to write something about .xyz?
Well, I definitely feel that it's a combination of a lot of the things that led up to this particular event. But I do think that Daniel tried to appeal to the general public. Domainers, in particular, are much more concerned about the stats. The general public could really care less. And that's really who he's trying to appeal to. And he was really trying to get the name out there and do marketing, and that's what we're doing right now, right? We're talking about the name extension, and that's what everybody's doing. So he kind of did what he set out to do, and so did Network Solutions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was also I think definitely there was a huge pushback against sort of the opt-out versus the opt-in. Had it been, the other way around, had people gone there and, been offered a name and said, okay, I want the name, thank you very much, and accepted the domain, I think there would have been a lot less pushback than people just sort of getting names sort of shoved in their account. So I think there was some pushback there. Having said that, he went into business to market and to sell. And, when I had attended many, many ICANN conferences, one of the questions almost every registrant or somebody applicant for a new GTLD, other than talking about their own stuff, asked me was what I thought about XYZ. It was just a very hot topic. And I said, I understand you don't get the XYZ thing, but, Daniel's really smart and he's very creative, and don't bet against the guy. So the fact that, he's out and, technically number one with the most registrants, after, a week of launch, not that shocking to me personally. So, and, people, there's a lot of natural jealousies out there. People are jealous, so people don't like me, they don't like Rick. I don't know if Adam gets that, but maybe he does. But, there's people, if you have any degree of success, they don't like you, So there's part of that as well, especially, the more successful, the younger you are, or the more sort of haters you're going to get.
I like you guys. Adam, what were you going to say?
A quick thing. I mean, I'm going to go on the other side, and I'm going to stick a little bit. I don't know if Mike was trying to say this or not. I think it was obviously planned ahead of time when he said he was going to get the $1 million. He must have known then. He knows now. And I'm going to say I think it was a good marketing move because most of those people are going to have those things. They're going to get stuck with renewal fees, and he's going to make a lot of money. So I'm going to say it's a great marketing move on his part.
Well, .club said they were going to have $1 million. I think .rich said they were going to have $1 million. Just joking. I don't know about the .rich. But
but .rich isn't giving away free.
I think the auto renews, I'm waiting to get some confirmation from somebody who has one in their account, but supposedly the auto renew is turned off on those XYZ domains. So
interesting.
People aren't going to they're not going to get auto renewed.
If they put the auto renew on, that would be an absolute crime. That's criminal. I mean, really. But that's like sticking something in your shopping cart, and faking you out on the way out of the supermarket. I mean, that would be the lowest of low. I mean, off the chart low.
But so far as we know, it's the opposite. It's not, the auto renew is not on.
We don't know because no one will say anything, and they're doing a lot of damage to themselves, and they're all looking silly.
Well, most domainers don't have names in network solutions anyway.
I'm waiting on somebody who's supposed to have a name pushed in there today who didn't reject it, and I'm just waiting for some confirmation. So,
well, Drew Rosener reminded Adam and I yesterday on the show that Enom years ago ran a mobile website promotion that tacked on a mobile website onto the domain names that you had, and it was opt out. And so, Drew paid that for years because he forgot to turn it off or unsubscribe or something like that. So
I'm not positive, but I remember GoDaddy doing something with .infos as well. So I don't know the scenario. I just know that they were being given away.
Yeah.
But I think the .infos you had to go and actually register. I mean, you had to overtly register it. They weren't just giving them to you. They weren't shoving them in your account. But I mean, I think it's a good marketing deal, and I think XYZ. I always thought he would do fine, and he would make money, and I think he would still have done. He's still doing pretty good considering. I mean, he's I think without the free registrations, he's still seeing that number, within the top 20-ish, which is very good. And I mean, it's a long-term play, and I think he'll do great. So, this particular issue.
Again, the registry doing great and having the argument whether it's a good domain investment or two different spheres of the universe. So, I mean, fine, he's going to sell a lot of domain registrations. Does that translate into taking $100,000 out of your wallet and putting it on XYZ as the number one horse in the race, or a horse in the race that's going to pay dividends? That's really the question and the focus that we should be, sticking to a lot of times.
I mean, as I said last week, I think, on the show, I had gotten an offer sort of overnight after registering about 15.xyz domains. I got an offer for $1,000 on one, which I tried to work up, so I didn't wind up selling it, but I guess it's still there. But still, I mean, there's not that many of these that I've gotten overnight offers on. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. There's the whole reason we discussed it on the DomainSherpa Review, which is airing on Monday, is that Party.xyz is in NameJet auction coming up. It was one of the names we discussed. I believe, Adam, if I'm correct, Drew has bought a few XYZ domains, and didn't he say that he had received an offer through the registry for a group of those? There was an inquiry?
He did. It was a bunch of, I believe, pot or marijuana-related domain names.
Yeah.
Not because he's a pothead, but because he...
So, in contrast to what you're saying, Rick, which I think all of us as individual investors will agree to, it is the value of those individual domain names that we're looking at for investments. And so watch that show on Monday coming up. All right, next up, I've referred to ntldstats.com over and over again on Domain Sherpa. Mike Berkens says as well. I've been impressed with their stats, but there's another new GTLD statistics website available, and it's called namestat.org. It's a beautifully designed site, easy to read, easy to filter. Mike Berkens at the Domains reported what's interesting is that, quote, the service has dropped all networksolutions.xyz registrations and all domain names registered by Frank Schilling's North Sound names in extensions owned by Frank Schilling's Uniregistry in computing its best-selling GTLD list, end quote. So there's actually a filter at the top. It's filtered on by default, but you can click the raw and look at all the numbers. So to get an idea of the number of registrations by quote-unquote real investors and end users is what this website is trying to do, namestat.org. Right now it shows .club in number one position with 68,000, .guru, .berlin, .photography, and then the .chinese online. But I did notice that it included the 20,000 plus domain names that the Chinese government purchased in .chinese online and .chinese website in that number.
Well, in fairness, they're going to use them, so they have 2 years to implement them.
In fairness, they said they're going to use them, and who knows if they are going to use them or not.
Well, because now the bigger one coming out, .company in Chinese is coming out, and that's supposed to do really well, so we'll see.
You know, I think all of us are speculating on what's going to happen. We're all registering domain names. We all may drop them. The Chinese government may change their mind. The Chinese government may choose to use one of the other IDNs. Should we be eliminating all bulk orders and just say we only want individual registrations less than 100 because they're...
Well, then maybe we need to eliminate all park domains too, because those are all speculation and not real businesses. No, really. I mean, how many real businesses are on these things?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I actually had a Skype chat with the guy who operates that site today. So, so that top, the top GTLD list is the one that is being edited to remove domains. The fastest growing registrar one, which is on the left-hand side of the same page, is not edited. So basically what he told me is that XYZ is actually the fastest sort of growing GTLD, even if you throw out all the free registrations. And that's, sort of what the left side represents, and then all the names are included for the totals up on top. So, but I mean, there's certain registries that have reserved names. You can, dig around and see,
So is he going to be eliminating all the registry reserved domain names from the list as well?
I think at some point he will. I mean, he just started this thing overnight, so
yeah.
I think he will. But he's still telling me the fastest growing GTLD, throwing out the free stuff, is still XYZ.
And who is this person that built the site, Mike?
His name, well, I don't know if he wants his name out there or doesn't.
Well, I looked it up, and it's Andy Breyer. Is that correct?
Yes, Andy Breyer. Yes, correct. Nice little conversation with him today, and seems like he's trying to do something with the thing.
Yeah, this is one of my pet peeves that I have in the industry, that you can never figure out who's behind these websites, just so you can figure out if there's some ulterior motive. Do you guys feel like websites you go to, you can't figure out who's behind them or what their agenda is, or how...
When I go to a website, I want to see a picture of the person. I want to see a contact method. I want to know who they are. I want to see like a LinkedIn or a Facebook, just something that identifies them to say, hey, I'm a real person too. So a lot of times I'll go to blogs that, I'm trolling around or whatever, and I find a blog, and before I even read anything, because I don't want to fill my head with garbage that probably isn't true, I want to know the source of who's reading, and are they qualified for me to digest the crap that they may be giving me? I mean, it's up to us individually to make sure whatever we eat and we're fed is legitimate, and I think that's one of the ways. Having your picture gives you credibility, having an about page, having your LinkedIn profile there. I mean, I think that's what gives you credibility, because at least that says, look, I'm a person that will put my name and my person behind the words that I'm speaking. So
yeah,
that means a little bit more.
I can only assume that he's a registrar or some sort of registry or a consultant or something. Are you at liberty to say, Mike?
I don't know what he is.
You don't know what he is?
I don't know. I don't know what his affiliation or interested in the thing is.
Yeah. Well, in order to get all that data, you need you need to know what's going on in the industry. You have to have all that access, and then download it and process it and put in.
The more data, the better.
Yeah. So anyways, if you haven't checked out namestat.org, it allows you to, turn off the adjusted filtering. So you look at all the numbers, and if Andy Breyer, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. I apologize if it's wrong. If he's watching, I would ask that cookies be set so I can actually set my filter criteria. I would love to be able to either look at 50 by default. But the really cool things about that site, and I'm not sure if you've played around with it too much, Mike, they actually have a launch calendar that I can understand, as a regular person. It shows the day, it shows the TLD that's going into general availability. You can unfilter everything except general availability and see what's going live this week or next week. It's beautiful and simple. It shows the gain by day, so I can actually see really easily which TLDs are growing and how many are added last night to the registry. And what's really cool is that if you click the information button, the little eye in a circle, it gives you a timestamp of the data that's been imported. So to your point, Rick, when I go to any of these sites, I don't know if they are showing me data that's 10 days old because, ICANN's database didn't update and they don't have any data or what have you. But I can actually look at the day that the data was imported to see if it was from last night or from 2 days ago. So kudos to Andy for building a nice looking website. Love to see some more information about you so we can figure out if the data can be trusted. All right, moving up. Paul Goldstone, Ken Hansen, and the .co.com registry just announced that they are dropping tens of thousands of premium domain names from their reserve list and placing them into availability where they can be immediately registered in the land rush period. The .co.com registry furnished lists that's in Excel. You can download it off their blog. They also give you the searches per month, the Google competition, the Google suggested bid. They've got domains like beef.co.com, best.co.com, biking.co.com.
You give out the URL to the users?
Billionaire.co.com. Can I read the URL of where to go?
Yeah.
I think
I'll put it in the post after
Yeah,
the
I think it's blog.co.com. If you just type in co.com, it'll take you to the website and then click on blog. So I'll open it up to the panel. Is anybody on the panel looking forward to this release? Will buying .co.com domains be in your future?
No.
What do you say, Mike?
No.
Rick?
No.
Tessa?
Well, I don't personally buy domains, but we obviously acquire them for our clients. We have clients who have acquired .co.com domains for a few different reasons. Sometimes if they're starting a company and they don't have the budget to buy the .com that they want, this provides an alternative for them to start building their business until they have the kind of budget to get, for .co.com, it really, obviously they're looking for companies to be able to put money behind a website that would promote their extension so that to get the name out there and to make it an accepted.
So you're saying that clients of yours have come to you to acquire a co.com. So I assume some single word .co.com?
No, they haven't come to us to acquire co.com. They've come to us to acquire a .com, and their budgets are completely unrealistic. So we have to try to either talk them into something else, but if they're really stuck on that keyword, obviously we have suggested over the past year alternate TLDs.
And when you suggest those alternate TLDs, do you suggest .co.com? We
have made all sorts of suggestions. and for the most part, to be perfectly honest, they end up choosing a subpar.com because .com is pretty much 99.9% of what we end up selling.
Yeah.
But we do have people that really are stuck on a very specific keyword, and if there are those companies that really want to get that targeted keyword, then co.com will provide that option for them.
Yeah, Mike, I think that's a no.
Yeah. So, Adam, why not .co.com? I'm sure there are people that type in .co.com meaning to go to .co. I'm sure there are people that are typing in CCTLDs that have the .co .something and they screw up and type in the .com all the time.
If people are typing in the co.com and meaning to go to the co, they need therapy. But I don't know. I don't.
I think actually a lot of people do that.
Well, it's possible.
I think a lot of people therapy do it.
I mean, in general, I don't like the two extensions or the two TLDs together unless it's something like com.au where you don't have a lot of choice.
Yeah. Hey, so clearly the .co.com registry is making a comparison because they're saying best .com sold for $330,000, and you could own best.co.com. What do you think the relative value is between a .com that sold in the past, so we know the value, and a .co.com?
Can you have a negative value? Listen, I'm serious. Listen, I'm 100% serious. You can actually have a negative value. O.co is the perfect example of a domain with a negative value. So when a domain costs you money, in other words, if you're a startup and you can't afford to lose business, and you lose business because no one can remember where you're at or they get confused with the extension, that's a negative sign before the domain. So it isn't. It can go below the surface.
I mean, I would say that. I mean, I think that's unfair comparison because I mean, Overstock wasn't a startup, so and they were advertising heavily on TV. I mean, there's a difference. I mean, if there was a company, there's a company today that got funded with $9 million, Light.co. So, but they're not advertising on TV. They're not known. They're not getting type in traffic. Light.com.
Wait a second. We're talking about co.com.
Overstock's a different gig, man. It's like Google changing to google.co and not having google.com. I mean, it's an established company. So I think it's different. Startups that don't have, a huge amount of money to spend on a domain name, I think they, it's a relatively, it's a choice.
But they have lots of other choices today. I mean, I don't think
lots of other choices. Absolutely.
I don't think the .co would do so well if it came out now as opposed to when it came out.
I agree with that.
But if you were starting up a company today, Adam, maybe it was, everything's software as a service. So you buy your beef as a service. They deliver you lamb chops every Friday and fish on Good Friday or whatever. And so you could buy beef.co or beef.co.com. How much would you pay for those two domains?
Those two, I think I would choose buygreatbeefcheap.com. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'd choose the co because it's shorter. But I mean, listen, we all like Ken and Paul. I just think that they open these things up because they obviously want to sell them. They want to get more cash out of them, and I wish them luck. But would I invest in them personally? No.
I mean, there's a big distinction between. I mean, then you could see, it's just a big distinction that needs to be pointed out between like .co and .co.com. They're not equal footing. So .co is a CTLD, and if you register a domain, whatever, rick.co, it's your domain name. If you register, rick.co.com, it's a third level subdomain.
Agreed.
And if someday somebody comes along and wants to buy co.com for $1 billion, I'm sure they have a way of basically, deleting or whatever, phasing out all of those registrations.
Right.
And at some point in time, your rick.co.com could go bye-bye, which can't happen with a CCTLD.
I don't think
that's a negative value.
So I have had Ken on the show. I believe I asked him that question, and I believe that he said that it's locked up for some period of time because Central Rick's running the back end, and I can't remember the exact number, but if Ken or Paul are watching, they can post a comment below to clarify that point.
But sometimes doesn't mean the whole time.
The registrant of a third level domain is a different legal position than the registrant of a domain name.
But isn't it fair to say that any registry could go out of business? .rich could go out of business, even though they put their money into, the escrow and they agree to operate for a number of years. 3 years down the road, they could go bankrupt.
They could. I'm not talking about .co.com going bankrupt. I'm talking about that domain name being sold and being changed into something else.
Well, I guess I was just making a general statement that any of our domain names could go away at some point if the registry goes away.
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. But I mean, you're in a different registrant of a third-level domain is in a different legal position as a registrant of a CCTLD or GTLD or TLD. That's just a fact of the matter. What may happen or may not happen, I mean, who knows? I mean, yeah.
All right, Rick, any final thoughts on Co.com? I didn't think I cut you off there.
I just approached it. I just approached it as a new business and for a startup. Is that a good decision to go with a domain like that opposed to other choices? And that's why I came to the negative, because I absolutely believe it can lose your money. And I love Paul too. I mean, we all, we know these guys.
Sure.
We got to separate the personalities and the people that we know and we love from the business aspect and say, listen, this is a tough sell. I wouldn't recommend anyone I know to get a co.com to start their business. Get a .net. Get a .mobi, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's just. But on the other hand, here's the only caveat that I can see a plus for it. When you have the country codes and it's co. like UK, I could understand a place for a co.com. I just don't see it, number one, in the United States, or I mean,
the majority of the interest has been from out of the U.S. The majority of the interest has been from out of the U.S.
And I would imagine that would be, because it's if they have a CO as a country code, and after it isn't the worst play in the world, because there's already an extra step to begin with.
Are those defensive plays, Tessa, the interest that you've had?
There have been defensive plays, yes.
Okay, well, that's a different ballgame. So if you have, so that's different.
Yeah.
Than building out a business on one of those. Okay.
I mean, when I go to my registrar, those domains are $80 a shot. Just so you know, that's the price for those domains are $79.99.
Yeah, those are pretty high.
Pretty high.
All right. Well, good luck to .co.com. General availability begins on July 8th. Next up, Mike Berkens yet again featured a story on his blog about network solutions. The Facepalm, its current promotion going out to current marketing customers, promoting the new GTLD.events, features 3 domains in the graphic: sports.events, music.events, and conference.events. All great domain names, of course, but only two of which are reserved by the registry and therefore not available. Clearly, Network Solutions doesn't have one hand talking to the other. Their marketing department either is incompetent, or they don't talk to people, or they just clearly don't understand how the registry is working, and that they can reserve some. Maybe ICANN has some on the do not register list. Is this, which do you think it is, Mike? Are they incompetent, or is the registry just not communicating clearly to registrars?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is. I just know that when I got the email, which was many days ago, and then I got several more, I went to see, what was available, what wasn't available, and I found 2 were, registry reserved at that time, the first day I got the email. So Network Solutions is a registrar. So who's ever doing this thing it takes less than a minute to go check 3 names to see if they're available or not available. So it seems very, basic, simple, businessy. If you're going to send out an email with 3 domains, at least make sure they're available.
Yeah, and all they have to do is type them into their own engine to search if they're available, and it will tell you that pre-registration is available or not.
Exactly. So it's stupid.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for it. There's just nothing.
No, it doesn't seem like there is any excuse. So,
your names, pick out something that's available.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, yet again, as Rick likes to say, it's another fail for the registrars not having their act together and knowing which domains are available before they offer them, before they register them, before they put them in somebody's account.
Well, I mean, that's a big difference, though. I mean, when you talk about making them available, I mean, you talk about lots of names. But if you're going to go, market, if you're going to send out a flyer to your customers and highlight 3 domains, just make sure they're available. It's 3 domains. It's not a lot to check to see if they're available.
Yeah.
And if they're not available, then pick out some other names. There's plenty of names.
Yeah.
So it's just really.
And conference.events, which is the one that's available, isn't as good as sports.events and music.events.
They probably got sick of looking after that, so they got after 12 hours of this crap. I had enough.
I like live events, but
Live.events? That's a good
yeah,
one.
but it's not. Yeah, it's good, but it's not available either.
That can't be available. It's too good.
Not available. I know.
At least with .xyz, I got a better chance of being able to actually reserve some good domain names.
What'd you get?
No, well, I didn't. I'm just saying Daniel held back. It seems like .xyz registry held back less than I think all the others are holding back.
You can contact all the 80,000 customers and see if they want to sell their .xyz now. How's that?
It's over 100,000, Rick.
No, the ones from Network Solutions that were given away for free. Maybe Network Solutions will sell their mailing list.
All right, next up, GoDaddy files for their initial public offering again. As you remember, they did so back in 2006, just before the last recession. Pulled it off the table when they discovered that the markets weren't looking so good. This week, they filed for their $100 million IPO. Andrew Allman over at Domain Name Wire skimmed the 250-page document and compiled a nice summary. GoDaddy has a lot of customers, 11.5 million. The company has 2013 revenue of 1.13 billion, which is broken down by 672 million in domains, things like add-on privacy and domains, 381 million in hosting, and 77 million in business apps. What's interesting is that 24% of the revenue comes from his customer service reps. So people actually on the phone or over email that are selling to customers rather than, passively waiting for customers to buy on the website. They had a GAAP loss of 200 million last year, but their adjusted profit was about 199 million. They paid just shy of $95 million for Media Temple, a hosting company, last year. We don't know how much they paid for Afternic. Its CEO made $1 million salary and has a target bonus that doubles that. Pretty exciting time for GoDaddy employees and people that want to invest in the company. I'd probably put some money into GoDaddy stock. What do you guys think?
I think it's definitely a great thing for the market. I mean, for the industry, it's anything that's bringing, and people already know GoDaddy, and anything that's going to bring more positive attention to the market's a good thing.
Yeah, so it's going to make more people aware of it, more regular investors aware of GoDaddy and how they make their money, and a majority of it from domains. Will it open up the domain name also, Tessa? More investors in domain names?
I think so, yes. Maybe it'll give a little boost to the new TLDs.
Maybe. Yeah. What do the rest of you guys think?
I think Blake is underpaid. I do.
Just $1 million bucks, I know.
I know. It's really, really underpaid. The guy's done a really phenomenal job. Love or hate GoDaddy. I mean, he's really done a good job. I mean, in my opinion, he's done a really good job. So, I mean, seems like he's well underpaid compared to what a lot of CEOs are making out there.
Yeah, probably. If you look at companies that are a little bit over $1 billion, he's probably making less than comparable CEOs. What do you think, Rick? You're uncharacteristically quiet.
I think it depends on their growth and probably their growth. The horizon looks pretty good for them. I mean, look, as long as they got strong leadership, I look at a company and if they have strong leadership and they have strong growth, you're in. That's basically the measure.
Yeah, strong leadership and strong growth. So you like .xyz? No, wait a second.
I think it depends somewhat on how you believe, how the GTLD thing is going to go. Because GoDaddy has a traditional, I think, market share of about 50% of, the GTLD market. And in the post-GTLD market, or in the GTLD market itself, it's around 25%. So if you think that GTLDs are really going to take off, and that's where the growth is going to be, then you may not be so excited about that. There may be better buys for you out there in different companies. If you think the GTLD is a crap and they're going to go nowhere and .com is going to be it, or the incumbent registry, the incumbent TLDs are going to be it, then probably GoDaddy is a good buy for you.
Well, I like big data. I like it when companies have a lot of customers, they understand a lot about their customers, and they have a lot of products and services to sell them. And I think GoDaddy has done a great job integrating from, A to Z across a company's life cycle, from when they're, a startup all the way to when they are, a $1 billion plus company, and all of their accounting services and their email and their marketing and their online search engine optimization and marketing, they're integrating across the whole life cycle. It's, it's a catch-up game, I think, for their competitors. And when they bring in $100 million in cash to spend, they can throw some gas on the fire.
They're the dominant guys out there, as far as retail domain names, they're dominant. I mean, they are, look, between them and Network Solutions, they own Main Street, okay? Because they don't know any better anyway to begin with. So that's where they're going from the get-go.
Yeah.
So, but GoDaddy themselves has gotten the market share, have gone aggressively out and gotten the market share. And when I just talk to the average Joe on the street, and they always say, "Oh, I got registered at GoDaddy,"
Yeah.
That's it. They own the market.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, you used to work there. When they go public and you have an opportunity to invest, do you think you're going to invest?
I definitely do think I am going to invest in some GoDaddy stock. I know that those numbers about customer service reps at like 24% didn't really surprise me. There's a lot of staff there, but most of them are incentivized based on sales and commissions and stuff. Mm-hmm. And there's certain quotas that they have to make each week and each month, in customer service. So it's not a surprise. There's not as many salaried employees there as you think. And a lot of the executives that were there when I was there, not forgetting me, they were some of the most talented executives I've had the pleasure of working with. And I'm sure that they continued along that with some of the people who have left, like Warren and a few other people. So I'm sure they've even made it better. So I think they know exactly what they're doing. I'm not really concerned about the new GTLDs. I think GoDaddy is going to be a strong play for a long time, and I hope they do go public.
Yeah. All right, next up, we just returned from Traffic West in Vegas. I had the honor of moderating the $1 million panel. Everyone on the panel had either sold at least one domain name or brokered at least a domain name for $1 million plus. The panel included Rick Schwartz, Adam Dicker, Michael Costello, Tessa Holcomb, and Roy Messer. So 3 of the panel are here on today's show. We all talked about the sale, but I think Roy said that he had an NDA for, I think it was Roy, that said he had an NDA for a couple of months while the share, oh no, it was Michael Costello, said he had a NDA that while for 2 months after he sold the domain name whiskey.com, because the owners wanted to figure out how they were going to tell their shareholders or why it was a good use of funds or something like that. So the question for the panel is, why don't we see NDAs in physical real estate transactions? Why do we see them so often in the domain name industry? And the question that's going to follow is it hurting our industry that so much of the industry is hidden behind NDAs? Hey, Tessa, let's start with you. Why do we see so many NDAs?
Did you say me?
Yeah.
Well, actually, there are physical real estate do use NDAs in some situations when there's a private sale, and we use NDAs for this, probably some of the same reasons. I think it's one of the reasons that we probably have such a large return customer rate and referral rate. Most of our customers, you don't really see us advertising too much, and we have some of the highest sales in the industry, and I really believe that's because, probably because of our non-disclosure policy.
But how do you know you have the highest sales in the industry? Everybody has NDAs.
We talk with other brokers, and I don't think everyone has NDAs.
How do you know? They're not allowed to say. So that's the whole problem, is that we've got this whole air of secrecy, and either it's real secrecy or it's...
But we have said how much we sold overall, and actually have spoken with a lot of people about putting together a report on the amount of sales that we've had, maybe some kind of report that would, because I know that data is important to everybody, and especially people in this industry want to know what names have sold in what price range. So we talked about putting together a report that would show how many names we sold across certain price ranges and across certain verticals.
Ah, that would be cool.
People said that would be interesting to know.
Yeah. So I thought that
between 500,000, 500,000 to $1 million, and to 1.5.
Yeah. So maybe I'm wrong. I believe that every single residential transaction in the United States becomes public record under MLS. Like you can go and look those up.
Maybe residential, yes, but not necessarily a business property.
But not the commercial properties.
Well, the problem with, I mean, it's not, again, like, we started to allude to, it's really not a fair comparison because in the United States anyway, if you record it, you transfer a deed and property, it goes to the government, and you have to have doc stamps, and it has to be recorded. And so if you underreport the amount of the sale, the government's going to sort of get involved and say, hey, this property, because they're making money on the doc stamps and the taxes to transfer the property. So this is a different kind of property that doesn't get registered with the government, doesn't go in the books, doesn't get taxed. So, I mean, you can't say why does it happen with real estate and it doesn't happen with domains. It's a whole different gig.
Well, domains, you'd have to look at, instead of looking at real estate, you'd have to look at business. And if one businessman sells another business, does he have to report the price? I don't think so. So a domain is a business regardless if it's a shell of a business. You're still buying a complete business even though it's just a box with nothing in it. So, but on the other hand, of course you want to have as many reported sales as possible because that's what supports your asking price and that the comparisons, and that you can point to is, look, that the market is the market, and that's what it's about. It's that you're pulling some of the very biggest, most important pieces of the market out of the market. And I think that's what people don't really understand. The single biggest deals out there that have ever been made are under an NDA. So the
qualified buyers and sellers that come to us with budgets that want to know what we've done, we will provide some numbers, just not specifics. We work with a lot of VCs and a lot of law firms who are acquiring names, some that aren't going to use the name for, sometimes I've had seven-figure deals happening years ago, and they're just not ready to use them yet, and they would never want anyone to know they have them, let alone how much they paid for them. We also have other situations where people have acquired the .com and are still acquiring additional CCTLDs, and so if anybody ever knew that they acquired the .com and that we were the broker, then if we approached somebody for the CCTLD, that price would go up. So that would also be detrimental.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons, but.
I mean, I think to Rick's credit, Rick, you've actually rejected sales because they wanted to put it under NDA and you didn't want them to, right? Didn't you just?
Well, I think that's the difference between a private sale and a broker. In a brokered sale, they're almost forced to do an NDA because they listen. You got to fold at that point. Whereas an owner, that's one of my bargaining chips, and I ain't letting go of that bitch under any circumstance. I've only done one NDA one time, and that's it. And and that was early on because that is really important to me, is being able to point to my other sales and say that's priceless to me. Those are my comps, my own comps.
Yeah. So you've turned down sales because they wouldn't agree, because they demanded an NDA and you wouldn't agree to it, right?
It's not a negotiating point. It's not negotiable.
So do you start your discussions with potential buyers and say that an NDA is not a negotiating point?
It has never, ever come up until the lawyer gets involved and they say to the client, oh, by the way, you should have an NDA. And then I just tell them, ain't going to happen. Just, ain't going to happen. It's that simple. Ain't going to happen. And I'm never going to do an NDA. You know what? If they want to buy an NDA from me, guess what? They can purchase an NDA separately for $1 million. How's that? I'll do that deal. For $1 million, they can purchase separately an NDA. That aside, ain't ever going to happen.
Mike, are all of your sales public information?
I mean, I do NDAs too. I'm not, honestly, I'm not like Rick, and I respect Rick for that. That I know he has actually walked away from sales and money just because they demanded an NDA and he wouldn't agree to it. Personally, I don't know if I've ever sort of walked away from a sale as a breaking point because they wanted an NDA and I wouldn't give it to them. So, yeah, I obviously would prefer no NDA, and the vast majority of the sales don't happen under NDA. But if somebody's offering 6 figures for a domain and we come to an agreement, and the final point is like, yeah, we need to have an NDA, I'm not going to give up the sale, and because there's an NDA. Rick will, I won't. I respect him for that.
Sure. I feel like it's my responsibility to try and get out what few sales I have into the marketplace, get them into DN Journal or other sites. Do you also try and do that, Mike?
Yes. If it's under NDA, I report them. I put them on Facebook. I have a most wanted domains that's on a little Facebook feed, and people follow it, and I report stuff when I can report it.
Yeah. What about you, Adam?
Generally, I report very few sales. Some of the big ones I'll report, but generally I don't report all the 5 or 10K sales or a lot of the other ones.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to.
Just don't have a process to do it, or?
Well, I have a process. I just also don't want to look like I don't want us to look like we're bragging about sales or anything like that when other people are hurting for sales. So it's not that important for me to get the little ones out there. The big ones are good for comparables, but to me, the little ones aren't that important.
I don't know. I think most domains sell for like 2,500 to 10,000 or somewhere in there. I might counter that like those are even more important for showing which domains are worth an average that most end users will pay for pricing.
Well, a lot of the ones that we see on the list, even on Ron's sales charts, they don't make a lot of sense. I sold the domain Sky Canvas this week, and that doesn't. I told the guy I sold it for somebody else, and I said, look, the domain's not worth $300, so I got him up to 5K. Just take it, and we did. So that's the truth. The bottom line is some of them don't make any sense. So it's hard for people to understand. People always look at them and they go, well, how the hell did this sell for this much when I've got this domain and it's so much better, when really it's not so much better. So I don't know. Comparables are much easier to relate to than just random names.
Yeah. All right. Next up, thedomains.com reported Famous for Media launched their first GTLDs this week, and they got off to a slow start. As of this morning, .webcam had 3,738 registrations. .trade followed close behind with 3,466, and .bid was trailing with a measly 639 registrations. Not a very good showing. Did anybody on the panel buy any of these domain names in the TLDs? .webcam, .trade, .bid?
I believe we have a lot. Oh, Mike, go ahead.
I registered a few .webcam domains that were available. So, I registered Bourbon Street .webcam. I'm in an auction for NYC.webcam. I got live traffic .webcam.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah, I got a few. I got like 10. But there's also .cam coming out. But we don't know who's going to win it because it's in contention. And a name like depending on who gets it, let's just say it's a sort of a donutsy kind of price point. A name like NYC.cam, it wouldn't be shocking to see that priced at $400 a year or more, based on what's gone already. So, on the other hand, people can whoever winds up getting it could give it away for free. So it's just another one of these, lots of variables in this whole deal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
no .trade, no .bid for you, Mike?
No.
Adam, what were you saying?
I have a live update from Paige Howe about webcam. He's on his boat, and he thinks he's on his boat relaxing today, and he thinks the webcam ones are really good, and they're going to be a big hit.
Yeah, he's got a webcam. Page.webcam. I'm going to go see if it's available.
Paige's boat webcam.
Is he the guy who bought all those webcam names?
I'm not sure, but you can see them on his site. What's it called, Mike?
Joe Domains.webcam.
DomainSherpa.com.
Or domain outlet. You can get page.webcam, but you have to run the website. That's just Paige sitting in front of his computer all day.
No, I know Mike said he liked some of the webcam domain names. Some of them I'm sure are good, but I didn't purchase any.
No. All right. I'm taking that silence as a no from you, Rick.
No, but I can't wait till .cam comes out. I think I have about 250 domains and .com domains ending in cam, so that'll be fun.
Oh, so somethingcam.com?
Somethingcam.com, yeah.
It's the rickcam.com.
Probably.
Most of which can't be repeated for a family audience.
Definitely not.
All right, next up, xbiz.com and the domains both reported that the Google AdWords policies on adult sexual services, family status, and underage or non-consensual sex acts will be updated in late June 2014 to reflect their new policy. Basically, Google is saying that we no longer want to support websites that are making money by Google AdWords in the adult porn, area. And anti-porn crusader coalition Morality and Media is taking credit for strong-arming the search giant into changing their porn policies. They've been going after them for a couple of years now, and if you go to the Morality and Media website, you can sign their online thank you card that they're going to deliver to Google for their shift in anti-porn views. Is Google growing up? Are they finally deciding that they need to be more mainstream and their adult advertising division is no longer supporting that mission?
I think
How about trademark abuse. Why don't they do it on trademark abuse? As long as they're going to do that, they should do it on trademark abuse too. That's pretty good, wouldn't it?
That would seem like right up Google's alley to be able to say, what's a trademark, and let me keep a database of it, and then maybe cause some questions to be asked if people are trying to register trademarks.
I think Google has finally hit their quota on AdWords for regular stuff, and now they don't need that extra revenue from the adult stuff. I mean, non-consensual stuff, okay. I mean, a lot of that stuff, who the hell needs it up there, to be honest with you? Most of us know where to find our regular stash online that we look for. But no, honestly, I don't think it's a benefit to have. It's not a big deal to me if it's not there. I don't need to see the ads. I don't care.
Yeah, well, I know you don't care, but for all of those adult websites that are looking for traffic, quality adult traffic is going to be harder and more expensive to come by.
And what does it mean for .xxx?
I think it means something good. What do you guys think? I think that's good for Stuart Lawley and the ICM registry operator of .xxx and soon to be .porn. I think more people are going to be going to their addresses, going to the search engine at .xxx and generating more traffic. So if Google's...
You don't think eventually they're going to drop those too? Because they already dropped all those sites that were posting people's mugshots.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They de-indexed them completely. So eventually they may de-index all the adult sites.
Maybe. But all those people that are looking for stuff are going to need to go someplace to do their searches. Maybe it's going to be a boon for search.xxx.
May increase the value of really good, adult domains. May reduce the monthly revenue generated from PPC. But at the end of the day, if you can't advertise the stuff, then you need something really memorable, because it's not going to be advertisable. You're not going to be able to promote it on the search engines. So then some really good adult domains may become more valuable. Mm-hmm. Although they may make...
What?
I was saying they may make less than PPC, but they may become more valuable.
More type-in traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what do you think,
not
Rick?
type-in traffic. Just, if you can't advertise stuff, then you have to go with some more memorable, brandable, some, adult terms.
So what you're saying is I should keep assholes.com for a little while longer.
Yeah, with your picture on it.
Rick, you still have an adult portfolio to some degree. Do you think that traffic is going to go up and the value of that traffic is going to increase over time?
I think, I don't know about the traffic going up. It could go up a little bit. I think the value of that traffic is going to go up because they're going to be less than, obviously it's not going to be an easy source of traffic anymore. Before they sort of checked to Google and they got all the traffic they can handle. And now they're going to go out and have to harvest new traffic, and they're going to have to be creative, and they're going to have to probably. It may benefit them. It could be a win-win for everybody. Things like this have an interesting way of unfolding, and then it also can give rise to a third party that's going to come in and decide, well, wait a second, we have an opportunity here. So, I think that can happen just as easily.
Yeah, I always like seeing discontinuities in business marketplaces like this because exactly your point, it's an opportunity for somebody to do something.
Exactly. So once you shake that board up, things happen, and that's really something that needs to be shaken up because it's been dormant for really a long time, and this is really going to shake it up.
Definitely. All right, we're at the end of our hour, Sherpas. Is there anything that you want to promote on today's show? Adam Dicker.
No, I'll just go ahead and plug Page's boards again since I teased him a little.
DomainOutlet.com. Go check him out. He's got some outlet pricing. Mike Berkens, anything you want to promote? I can't hear you, Mike. I'm sure it was something good. You're still muted. You're on mute. Mike Berkens, you're on mute. You're still on mute.
Page.webcam, probably.
Page.webcam. Go buy it and give it to Paige. Rick, anything you want to promote?
Nope.
Nothing.
Have a nice summer.
And Tessa, anything you want to promote? You got a great domain name that you're looking for a buyer for. Maybe you got a couple of bids on. You're looking for another bid.
Vino.
Vino.
Yeah.
Vino, as in glug, 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 glug?
Yep.
I like
That's
Vino.
Wasn't that Rick Latona's name at some point? And... No?
Could be.
I think it was, right? Wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I'm not the
Rick looks like he's got a few Vinos already.
Contact Amanda.
I like Vino. All right, go post any questions you have that didn't get answered
And
on today's show.
it's 5 o'clock, so it's time for some Vino, right?
It is.
Right.
It's 5 o'clock someplace in the
I
world.
own grapes.com if we're going to go down that road.
Adam Dicker, Mike Berkens, Rick Schwartz, and Tessa Holcomb. Thanks for coming on the Domain Sherpa discussion, sharing your insights and expertise, and thanks for continuing to be Domain Sherpas for others.
Thank you.
We'll see you all next week.